Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, where we celebrate individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Chef Steve Corso is our guest today. He is the founder and head chef at Outdoor Eats. Now, I had the pleasure of hearing Chef Corso at the Outdoor Writers Association of America's annual conference back in Casper, Wyoming in 2022. He is the host of Outdoor Eats TV, and he shares the mission of elevating meals outdoors and sharing the experience. Steve, it has always been a pleasure to know you were going to be on my podcast, but to actually be here with you virtually, that's been long overdue. So welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, it is long overdue. And yeah, great to be with you, Howard.
Fantastic. Now, I first met you back in Casper, and I like to call myself a foodie, and I'm actually new to the outdoor space, but when I cook, it's these little bags of stuff that you buy in a store. And you really opened my eyes to this idea that we could eat well and live well and enjoy well out on the trail. And so, what a timely discussion. And first off, where are you joining me in this conversation today?
I am coming to you from Durango, Colorado, and I live and work remote these days. I've been doing it for a little over 3 years. I'm from the Great Pacific Northwest. I grew up in Port Angeles, Washington, and then lived in Seattle for about 12 years. But in the middle of the pandemic, some life things changed for a lot of us. And for me, it was time to hit the road, and I run an outdoor food company. So I tried to be a vagabond, and here I am 3 years later. And it's been a really, really fun journey and allows me to see some really beautiful places around the country and connect with a lot of different outdoor groups.
Fantastic. Now, you are a classically trained chef. I mean, you have been in the industry for quite a while. How did you begin to shift from where many of us would think where classically trained chefs go, which is, I live in Las Vegas, so I know where a lot of them hang out. But how did you come to get into the outdoors? And you did chat about COVID, but you have this outdoor slant to your brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And a little bit more about my backstory in the kitchen and in the culinary world is, yes, I am a classically trained chef. I went to culinary school in Napa Valley and Northern Italy and been in the food industry for 25 years. I love food and I love sharing it. It's been a big part of my family experience. Everyone is they're not all classically trained, but we all love cooking and we all love sharing together. So every holiday we're divvying up recipes. And for me, I'm just trying to make sure everything comes out at the same time and have a great meal together. And when I went to culinary school, my goal was not to open up my own restaurant. I think that's a pretty standard path, or what you're mentioning in Vegas is to go work as a sous chef or a chef on a line somewhere. And I really respect those chefs. And it's just really, really tough business. And I learned that really early on. So I wanted to sort of get out of the main path for a chef. And luckily, I was able to get a position as a research chef outside of Seattle. And what that means is that I was in a test kitchen with a number of food scientists and research chefs, and we were testing, developing new food products for the grocery store.
Yeah.
So we worked with a lot of different small artisan companies, some large multinationals like General Mills and Coca-Cola and Miller Coors, to create the next best ice cream or salad dressing or smoothie. And I think the grocery store is sort of an interesting part of the food culture that we don't normally think about as far as being creative or having something interesting. But that's where we get most of our food that we consume. And there is usually a very, very thoughtful team of food scientists and research chefs creating that new smoothie for you or the new salad dressing. So I really, really love that position. It was for somebody coming from the kitchen world. It was 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I had an ice cream maker next to my desk, and I got to test food all day. and it was really fun. And I really, really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. And in Seattle, I eventually worked for a restaurant group, kind of like an upscale Panera sandwich and salad cafe that we eventually had 14 locations in 2 cities. I did all the supply chain, all the menu development, all the team training for that whole brand. And I eventually worked for Starbucks,
Mm.
living in Seattle. It's a solid spot. And I worked on their food team, but not making cake pops or not making new sous vide egg bites. I was on their
Okay.
Starbucks Reserve brand, and they have these very, very fancy coffee experiences in Seattle, Chicago, New York, and then some in Asia.
Sure. Yeah.
And my role there was to train that menu and make sure quality was there. So I have a very diverse set of culinary experiences. But to your question, as far as how did the outdoors start to uh, influx into some of my cooking. And the other thing, Howard, is I kind of feel bad because I grew up at the base of the Olympic National Park, and my family
That's
was in.
tough.
Yeah, well, it's tough, but it's my family was not big into the outdoors. We
Mm.
we appreciated the beauty of it. We would maybe go on a couple of day hikes, but I didn't go on a hiking or camping trip for real until like my senior year in high school. I had some buddies invite me, and looking back now, it's like that's such a missed opportunity to really get into the park and see the rivers and see the ridges. But everyone has their journey and their process. But once I moved back to Seattle, I really started to get into hiking more, whether that's just long day hikes or multi-day backpacking trips. And they were really gratifying for me and really, really fun to share that experience with my friends and also see some really, really beautiful mountain peaks or alpine lakes in the Northwest. And as I really started doing more of that activity, me being a chef and having food be a strong component of my life, I noticed that most folks were just boiling water and adding it to a bag. Like you mentioned earlier, it's a pretty standard path. But for me, it was a really, really big missed opportunity to have something tasty or have something exciting or having something that can really refuel you in a better way for those longer trips. And I was very surprised that it was so focused on packaged meals, jerky, trail nuts, and granola bars.
Mhm.
And those are fine. But as I started testing recipes, there's so many great options you can be able to cook up on the trail that are still mindful of pack weight, pack volume, perishability. All of our recipes that we're creating for outdoor eats for the website and for our cookbooks are 10 ingredients or less, ready in 30 minutes or less, no pre-prep, no dehydrating. So you don't have to spend all day in your kitchen dehydrating before you go, mindful of that perishability. And we have a lot for different dietary restrictions as well. That's another thing I noticed as I was starting to share recipes with the outdoor community is that a lot of folks sacrifice their belly or digestion or their eating ideals when they go out on the trail. Just like, okay, yeah, it's fine. I'll just eat peanut butter and tortillas for the day, and that'll be good. But I think there's a lot of great options out there for different dietary restrictions as well.
And I really appreciate you sharing that. And a question, and maybe we don't answer it right now, is I'm like you. I mean, I live in Las Vegas. It's gorgeous weather. I was out hiking with my roommate and her boyfriend this past weekend. I need to do much more of it. And I also know I need to drink a lot of water. I need to
Hmm.
have some energy. And the weight limit for what I can bring on a day hike is different than an overnight. And then I have had guests on the show who have been hiking the John Muir Trail or the Appalachian Trail. Are your programs and the education you provide designed for someone who is going to do these very extensive and brutal through hikes?
Yeah, our recipes work for any outdoor activity. They did start for the hiker and camper for those multi-day backpacking trips. When I first started testing recipes and researching recipes for the outdoor space, what I noticed is that there's a lot for full dehydrating meals
Mm.
or car camping, Dutch oven, grilling meals. And those are both fine and solid ways to enjoy some calories outdoors. But for me, it's kind of in the middle. It's a different path. And it's also a lot easier to translate a backpacker recipe to a car camping recipe than from the other way. So say, for example, a chicken chili verde recipe with packaged chicken. You can use raw chicken when you're, grilling over the fire, but they don't translate back and forth very well. Or the car camping recipe doesn't translate super well to the backpacking recipe. But what I've also learned through the what I call the vagabond tour, which is my life over the last 3 years, and really connecting with different outdoor communities and outdoor activities, is that our recipes work for everybody. And whether that's a long haul through hiker, whether kayak camping, bike packing, fisher, hunter, base camp cooking, you might just have to tweak a few of your recipes, and you might just have to tweak a few of your ingredients in order to fit it into your pack, or to really be mindful of some factors. But they are supporting a lot of different adventures, and it's really, really fun. I think if you do have a very specific dietary restriction, a very specific calorie need, or you are doing a section of a PCT or John Muir for 6, 7, 10 days without a resupply, then you have to be really, really mindful of what you're packing. But I'm here to share that you don't have to take all packaged meals. And if you are in that camp, what I like to do is start in the pantry for creating any recipe or any meal plan. And instant grits or polenta is a really great place to start. Rice noodles and pasta, and also utilizing really good quality spice mixes. Their spice mixes are the best flavor, the best lightweight ingredient you can pack, because you can take 4 or 5 different spice mixes with hardly any weight and have Indian, Italian, some Thai flavors, and Mexican, and just really, really change it up without having to have a lot of ingredients in your meal plan.
I love that. And really a big shout out again to your show notes, because you mentioned one of my favorite spices, attar. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but it is, I mean, I would put that on everything if I could.
Yeah, well, and za'atar is a really fun one. If you guys aren't familiar, it's a Middle Eastern spice blend. I've actually been able to experience with a red za'atar and a green za'atar, slightly
Okay.
different ingredients in there, but it is a really nice, fresh spice mix that you can put on a lot of different pastas or salads or some flatbreads as well, to really give it some nice flavor. Sometimes it can be a little bit spicy as well. But the key ingredient in most za'atars is sumac.
Mm,
And sumac is a Middle Eastern spice that has a really nice acidic, lemony flavor. And
right.
so it can really complement a lot of dishes. And that's another thing. If you don't want to pack a lemon or a lime in your pack to give that little bit of freshness or a little bit of vinegar, is a za'atar or sumac is a really great spice to pack along. You can sprinkle it on everything. If you still want to eat packaged meals, that's okay, but throw some za'atar on top or sumac, and it'll really make that flavor pop.
I love that. I love that. I'm curious too, with you've got again, the day hiker, the car camper, the multi-day, and then you've got the brutal, these long journeys on the various trails.
Mhm.
In the notes you shared about you called the epic ultralight community. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I think if you're experienced in the longer haul hiking community, the term is ultralight. So it's being
Mm,
very, very mindful of the weight in your pack, and that is something that's very, very important. Some folks will cut off the end of their toothbrush and only take so many squares of toilet paper, just to be really, really mindful of ounces and quarter ounces. For me, what I've noticed is that definitely important to be mindful of your pack weight, but I think it's something that we might not need to emphasize as much.
mm,
Obviously, you do whatever you need to do for your body and what you can handle. But for me, I am quite happy packing a couple extra pounds of food in order to eat well and to be excited and to be satiated at the end of the day and get ready for the next day. And what I often suggest for folks too, if they are concerned about the ingredients being too bulky or too heavy, is that to share the load as far as meal planning and cooking. I
right.
noticed that a lot of folks take their own personal stove and pots, and everyone come dinner time is just sort of sprawled out by the stumps and the trees, and they're cooking separately. And I think it's again, another opportunity to come together and
Right.
have a great meal. And one person takes the camp set, one person takes some ingredients, and then you can really share the load in your overall, each person not taking too much. And I think for your listeners out there, some reference points for weight is that most packaged meals are anywhere from the 4 to 8 ounces per serving. A lot of our recipes, they even go down to 2.5 ounces per serving. We're putting out a new cookbook this year called the Cedar Edition. So it's a fresh ultralight cookbook, and all the recipes are 2.5 ounces to 8 ounces per serving. They're hearty servings. If you're a hungry bear, then you can definitely double up the quantity and cook up and eat up a little bit more. But all of our recipes are very easy to pack, really easy to cook up.
Okay. Now I'm curious too, with the outdoor eats recipes, and I want to talk about the community of folks who are helping you craft these recipes and test them. But before we do that, I and you, when we're connected, can go on Google and look for a recipe of I want to take spaghetti. Not that I eat pasta anymore, uh, but I want to take it camping with me. I need to prepare recipes that I can then cook and take on the road. What is the differentiator between your recipes and some of all these influencers that are on the internet and their recipes? Is there a differentiator there?
Yeah, I think ours is a yeah, I think our recipes are a little bit different. If it's a basic pasta recipe, is there's going to be a lot of other great resources out there that are going to work too. But for me, I love being creative with the flavors and the flavor profiles and the ingredients. I'm also a curious hiker and a curious chef, so I've found some ingredients that I was very surprised by that actually work in multiple different ways. And one of those is Jiffy cornbread mix.
Mm,
And when you think about what it is, it's cornmeal, flour, a leavening agent, a little bit of sugar, and a little bit of salt. So I cooked it up like Southern grits rather than baking it into a skillet, and it was incredible. And what I loved about that is that Jiffy is available at almost every grocery store and or gas station for about $1.
yeah.
And a quarter cup of grits or cornbread mix is a really, really solid portion. So what I'm sharing also with our recipes is my own exploration through the grocery store, through the pantry to see what we can use that maybe folks didn't think they could.
Mhm.
Another great example of that is a pork rind corn nut pozole, if you're
Mm.
familiar with that in the Mexican cuisine. But that with a couple little packets of hot sauce and some chili powder and maybe a little bit of water or beer, and you have a really, really good hearty trail meal that actually has some really good protein and really good carbs in there. So it's been really fun to explore some random ingredients that maybe we're just using, excuse me, using as snacks to actually make meals out of. And one of our most popular recipes, and actually the most popular, highest selling packaged meal flavor out there for all the brands, is beef stroganoff.
Yeah.
So like everybody likes eating stroganoff on the trail for some reason. But I think it's funny because very rarely do we eat it at home. But I've been able to recreate the packaged meal experience with beef jerky, some fresh or dried mushrooms, and some non-fat milk powder plus the pasta. And it's a really, really good option that doesn't sit in your belly as hard and doesn't have as much salt or doesn't have any preservatives. So I think that's one thing that makes us a little bit different, as you mentioned. One other thing is that all the recipes are tested by our community of recipe testers.
Mhm.
So I can go out and test recipes here in Durango, Colorado, or in Sedona, Arizona, or wherever I'm going, but it's not that fun. And I might be wasting a whole bunch of food. And the purpose of this is not to make the most recipes. It's to create the best recipes and to
Mhm.
share that experience. So I put my research chef hat on when I'm creating different recipes and different ideas. But it's really important that somebody else in the recipe tester community takes it out on their trip and test it, whether that's at elevation, whether that's in a low water situation, whether that's with a different stove or a different pot, in order to make sure that it works. And so they'll grab a recipe from our website, take it out, test it, send back some photos and some edits, and then I upload it to the community recipe bank for all of us to enjoy. And currently, we have over 300 trail tested recipes from folks all around the country, and even some international as well. We're getting some recipes tested in the UK and in Europe, and actually a few down in Australia as well. It's summertime down there right now.
Excellent. Yeah, I was going to ask, your work is not just confined to the United States, but where else have you had a chance to evangelize this outdoor eats movement?
Yeah, we're obviously focused on what we can enjoy here in the United States, but people go outside everywhere. And there's a lot of different ways to enjoy the outdoors, whether that's in the Alps or in Scandinavia or Australia. I went down to the Patagonia a few years ago, which was a really fun kind of top of my bucket list adventure, and beautiful, beautiful, beautiful vistas and hikes, and was able to cook up some good meals down there. We are actually going to Europe this year to film our first international episode of Outdoor Eats TV, and we're heading to Switzerland and Liechtenstein in August, which is really, really exciting. So part of that is finding a great story to tell with the local ingredients there or how they recreate. So I'm already excited to make some trail fondue or something else there.
Okay, very nice. And I can imagine the variety and your website and its content is probably going to grow exponentially just based on those experiences and obviously the YouTube videos. When you think about going off on the trail, perhaps it's somebody new like me, because I still think I'm a newbie at this, but you mentioned the stroganoff, but if you had to list other quote unquote best recipes, like for breakfast, for lunch, for that, get you through that 3 o'clock, oh my God, I've got 5 more miles to go. How do I get through this? And then enjoying the dinner by the campfire. What are your best or go-to recipes?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think we can go by time of day. So breakfast, I love cranberry orange granola, using some dried craisins and a couple small packable oranges, and then you can either do your standard oatmeal or just crumble up some Nature Valley granola bars on top. Really, really quick and easy. 5 ingredients, about 5 minutes, and something different than just maple and brown sugar. So that's a really great one. We have a dirtbag eggs Benedict recipe that is really quite good. You can take some packaged ham out on the trail for about a day or so, or if you're going for a longer trip, you can get some country ham, which is a little bit more cured and vacuum sealed, and really have an elevated breakfast experience. So those are a couple that I really enjoy. For lunch, lunch is an interesting one because I think a lot of folks just have a snack for lunch or just some meat and cheese and bread, which is a really tasty classic hiker lunch. But I think it's another opportunity to stop and enjoy your company and to stop and enjoy the river where you're at or whatever you're seeing on the trail. And so I love taking pre-cooked grain mixes. And there's brown rice and quinoa mixes. You can make a really great grain bowl and turn it into a pizza grain bowl, green goddess, Mediterranean or Mandarin, and really change up the flavor profile there. Or there's another great ingredient out there, some instant hummus mix. So you can make some really nice wraps depending on what kind of flavors that you like there. And so for what lunch for me is still a time to potentially cook and potentially have a tasty meal.
Okay.
For dinner, and I think dinner is the star of the show for a lot of folks because you've had your long day and it's time to set up camp and really recharge for the next day. I think stroganoff is a classic. Pad thai is really, really good. If you're new to cooking outdoors or cooking with the camp stoves, They can be a little bit challenging because they heat up very, very fast and can have a tendency to scorch and burn. So,
Mm,
in order to mitigate that, I highly suggest starting with soups. And also, soups are very satisfying at the end of a long day. So, whether that's a Indian lentil and chickpea stew or soup, you could make some Italian options as well. I'm trying to think some other tasty soups. Ooh, hot and sour soup is really good as well.
mm.
So those are some really, really nice ones. But we have over 300 recipes on the website, and they're all organized by dietary restriction, time of day that you like, and overall style of trip. So you can really get inspired by some of the options that we have. And I think it's really important not to forget about dessert. And if you do
Of
have a
course.
campfire, you can definitely do s'mores. And I don't know about you, Howard, but like for every season, I can have about two s'mores, and then I'm kind of done. And
Okay.
it's not that I dislike them. I just sort of want something different. And I know a lot of kids out there, parents out there, like they'll eat them every day, and it's great. For me, I'd like something a little bit different. So I really like cooking up some quick uh, uh, crisp recipes. So it's kind of a hack with that granola bar again, as crisp topping is usually fat, flour, oatmeal, and you bake it. And that's pretty much what a granola bar is. So
Mhm.
you can do a apple date crisp. You can do that cranberry orange granola. You can have it for dessert. I also love reading the bulk aisle for all the tropical fruits. So dried mango, dried papaya, banana chips, macadamia nuts, a little bit of coconut shavings in there. That can be really, really good. Um, and then also, if you have kids or grandkids, we have a multiple recipes for a Rice Krispie treat bowl. So taking Rice Krispies that you have for breakfast, making them into a dessert, into a bar, but then just making it into your camp pot. And I like adding some fresh fruits, like a blueberry lemon is a really great combination, or some dried fruits like apricots and currants. Or if you're a chocolate lover, you could go some dark chocolate, some coconut shavings, and maybe some peanut butter or nut butter in there. Just mix it all up. It's really, really good.
You're making me hungry. It's like, okay, now I definitely need to get out on the trail. I mean, because I know I can make it at home, but I think it only counts when you're on the trail.
Well, not necessarily. We've gotten a lot of feedback. It's really funny. I do a lot of workshops around the country for
Yeah.
outdoor brands or outdoor expos or Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, and so we'll be in the middle of the demo. We'll be making pad thai, and there'll be a comment from the crowd, be like, "Oh, I can make this at home." And I'm like, yes, yes, you can absolutely make this 30-minute recipe at home. And some of them are really, really great for like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. And you kind of need to clean out the refrigerator. So pad thai is one of those that are really great, or a Thai soup, or making a quick fried rice. Because you have maybe a few snap peas, you have half of a leftover chicken from Costco and a red pepper, and just mix it all up for a fried rice or a quick soup. And, but it's fun we're obviously talking about how to elevate your meals outdoors, but the recipes work inside really, really well too.
I love it. I love it. Now, before we get into some other areas like aha moments and insights to go, we spoke about some spices earlier, za'atar especially, but is there another two, three, four must-have ingredients that you need to pack?
Yeah, there's been some great testing through the years, and a couple that go in just about every meal plan is coconut milk powder. That can be really good for breakfast or your morning coffee. But for dinner, it can be added to Thai soups and Thai noodle dishes or Indian dishes. So that is really, really helpful. Some health food stores and some Asian grocery stores have those or have that, but most of the time I just do a quick order on Amazon. Another one is soy sauce powder, and it literally tastes like concentrated soy sauce, and you can either just sprinkle it on something or rehydrate it up in a little packing bottle as well. I've been recently experimenting more with dried shrimp,
Mm.
and it's kind of a funny ingredient, but that's also available at a lot of Asian grocery stores. And so if you do like seafood, on the trail and maybe you're getting a little bit tired of the tuna packets, is adding a few tablespoons of dried shrimp to like a Creole pasta or to a shrimp and grits recipe, or even a trail cioppino or trail bouillabaisse. We have a great recipe for that as well. So you can get a little bit fancy with some of these pantry ingredients that take up very, very little volume in your pack and also very, very little weight.
Very, very good. I, I'm excited. I think just you're making me hungry, and it's like okay, it's a good thing. Thank you for that, Steve. Uh, you're involved in a lot of activities now, and Outdoor Eats has grown since you started it 5 years ago. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I mean, you gave us a little bit of a hint, but maybe add a little bit more context to that.
Yeah, well, Outdoor Eats started, I really didn't know what it was gonna be, but I knew that I had some recipes that I wanted to share with the community, and I knew that I wanted to get it out there somehow. And so it really just started with a website with a recipe bank in it of maybe a couple dozen recipes. But that grew obviously over the years to where it is now. We have a whole line of pocket-sized cookbooks as well. They're
Mhm.
literally the size of your phone. You can also have get an ebook version as well that's formatted for your phone. And we have 8 different editions of those from different themes. Each cookbook has 20 separate recipes, so it's a really great starting point. And then coming back for more for more ideas. And we've sold over 26,000 copies of those through the last few years, and that's been really fun to get out there and to create those for folks. I self-published all of those, and it's been fun to figure out that process and get those out there. And we talked about a little bit about the TV show, but the evolution of Outdoor Eats from a few recipes to cookbooks to workshops to traveling around the country and kind of sharing the mission is growth into television. And so I was able to partner with a production company up in Canada, and we made 2 episodes last year. We made 2 episodes last year. It's called Outdoor Eats TV. It's airing nationally right now on Valley Sports and Outside TV, or the episodes have landed on the YouTube channel Chef
Oh,
Corso.
excellent.
And the idea for the show is that it's a combination of a classic Saturday morning food show on the Food Network, where you're going to learn how to make some recipes, potentially with a theme to the episode, and combining with the travel and combining with the adventure and really celebrating the different activities of the outdoors. We talked about epic adventures earlier, and there's a lot of epic outdoor content out there, from the ski movies to the documentaries and the, or Mojave 100-mile race. And those are really entertaining and really good. But I think that a lot of people aren't going to go run 100 miles or aren't going to climb 3 14ers in a day. You're going to go on a day hike or go on a 2-night backpacking trip. So I really want to celebrate approachable outdoor adventures and really, again, celebrate the diversity of the activities that we choose to do, whether that's touring or bike packing, kayak camping, road tripping, whatever it is. I want you to be able to eat well while you're out there. And so we're really having some fun with some different activities and stories for the show. And the goal for Outdoor Eats and for the show is to continue to grow the episodes. We're putting out 4 episodes this year in some fun locations. One is outside of Oakland, California at Mount Diablo State Park. We did a day hike brunch themed episode where we made that dirtbag eggs Benedict plus some Summit Bloody Marys and mimosas. We filmed another episode in St. Petersburg, Florida, and celebrating some kayak adventures in the bay and some catch and cook experiences. And then the next one we're actually filming next week is down in Corpus Christi, Texas, where we're going to do a van life road trip theme and camp on the beach. So it's been, again, a fun evolution of the idea from just a few recipes to varying levels of content, and then now putting into a longer form half hour educational feature.
Very nice. And I have to say, Steve, as your brand and your media presence continues to grow, do not sell out to a particular station and run contests, or else I will never talk to you again. No contest. Okay.
Gotcha.
All
Good
right.
to know. Thank you.
Okay. Before we head out, we have a segment in our show called Aha Moments, and where we kind of ask our guests to reflect on the trajectory of their career and when they realize there's something here. And you've alluded to a lot of instances today, but is there any particular one that really stands out for you? Like, wow, I get to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I have that feeling a lot. It's like, wow, I get to do this. I get to go outside more than I used to. I'm not stuck in a kitchen anymore. I get to explore the national parks and the state parks and the little pockets of the country, and I get to cook along the way and teach folks how to do it, and that's really really fun. I think to your question, where my head goes is actually how outdoor eats really started. And there was really the aha moment of, oh, this is how I could actually do this as a business. And so that story is I was with my partner in Seattle at the time, and we didn't have enough time to go on a big long trip, but we were able to get out for one night. So it turned out to be a 24-hour trip. So we left Seattle, drove east on I-90, and found just some Forest Service land and a short little hike up to Theseus Lake, maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 miles up. And I told my partner to bring a potato and a bunch of kale. I brought a lemon, a real Parmesan cheese, and some seasonings. And we set up camp and had a beautiful, beautiful view of Theseus Lake and some sunsets going over some Cascade Mountains. And I made kale and potato soup with lemon and Parmesan cheese. Really, really quick and easy. And she was like, "What did you do to this? What did you do to this pot of soup?" I'm like, I didn't do much. It's just real ingredients and seasoned well. And the fresh squeeze of lemon goes a long way to really bring it together. And we really started brainstorming of, okay, well, how do I get this out? A lot of my friends were like, "You're a chef. You could make a cookbook. You could create recipes for people, but how to really get it out there and how to really make it impactful." And as we were hiking down the next day, we really started to talk about community. And it really got me excited because instead of just me putting out recipes for sale or for people to use, it was really trying to cultivate a community and a community of folks that are passionate about food, that are passionate about the outdoors and want to put those two things together. And also the community of folks, whether that's through Instagram or YouTube or the website, or now the community of recipe testers around the country and around the world, is trying to build a community of folks that really want to celebrate the outdoors through food and have it be a part of the experience rather than just an afterthought. So I got really, really excited. We got really excited as we were hiking down, be like, oh, this is potentially how this can work. And it got me much more excited than just starting a company and putting a website out there, is to really teach and to share and to help support people's trips rather than just selling them a pocket knife or something like that.
I love it. I love it. Beautiful insight to go. And thank you for sharing it. And you've made me even more hungry with the potato soup. I'll take care of that, perhaps for dinner. Uh, any final insights that you'd like to share with our listeners before we let you go today?
Yeah, I get a lot of feedback from different folks in the outdoor community and through different activities. And some folks are very hesitant to try this style of outdoor cooking. They think it's too heavy. They think it's going to be very, very perishable and go bad. But I'm here to share that we do a lot of work to make sure that the recipes work for you. And I cook a lot of them myself for my journeys, and I want them fast and tasty too. I'm not trying to share gourmet fancy recipes. I'm trying to share recipes that work and that you can replicate and that you can share with your crew. So it's for outdoor eats, it's getting folks outside, having them eat well, but then to share that experience. So, volunteer to do the meal plan for your trip. Yeah. Or I get a lot of comments from folks like, "Oh, we were at the communal cook station in Glacier National Park and we made something super, super tasty." And everyone was really envious of what we were eating. And I'm like, well, that's great, but maybe share it with them, or maybe pack an extra dessert and surprise them. And it'll be a part of their memories and part of their trip. And so I want folks to really, really share the meals and share the experience with maybe a new friend. And that can be a way that the community can grow and to continue to emphasize that we're doing this together to share the experience of the outdoors, and we can also share the experience through food.
Very good. Thank you so much for that. Now, before we head out, if our listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, if you can share your website, social sites. So we're going to have those in our backlinks, but I want you to share those with our listeners as well.
Yeah, the website is outdooreats.com. Our social handle for TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook is Outdoor Eats 365. And the YouTube channel is Chef Corso, Corso. And would love to see you on there. We'd love to see where you guys are cooking. It's always a fun part of the experience to see where recipes are being tested or where people's trips are.
Fantastic. Well, Steve, it has been a pleasure to have you on the Outdoor Adventure Series. I appreciate you taking the time from your current home away from home, virtual in Durango, and I'm excited about the journeys that you're going to be going on. And really, again, I totally appreciate you just being able to take the time and finally learning more about you and your work. And it's inspiring, and both culinary wise as well as getting out there and getting some exercise and enjoying all the beautiful nature that is around us. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me again. Yeah, great to chat with you.
All right. Listen, stay in the line. We're going to do a real quick close, and you and I can have a final chat. Okay. All right, folks. We have just been chatting with Chef Steve Corso. He is the founder and head chef at Outdoor Eats. He is establishing his media empire through his videos, his YouTubes, his recipes, the books. I mean, and these, by the way, these recipes are fantastic. And you've got to get out to the website and check out all of the resources that are available to you. And folks, this really is a way to not only make getting out there in nature accessible, but you can do it in a very helpful and enjoyable way. And I really liked his uh, this insight to go is you're out there with making these great recipes. You have a chance to build community, meet new people, and you get to evangelize yourself why this eating healthy and enjoying yourself is so important. Do go out to his website, outdooreats.com. We're going to provide the backlinks to his Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and we'll have those in our show notes. And when you get out to the website, you'll be able to check in with his recipe club, see if it's right for you. You can check out Outdoor Eats TV. Lots of, he's got a shopping cart. There's also his many, many recipes. And really, thanks to his community of contributing culinary advocates out there helping to test out and perhaps propose their own recipes. So lots of good, healthy eating to be had by getting to know Outdoor Eats. As for us, you can find this episode on the Outdoor Adventure Series website, outdooradventureseries.com. We're on Facebook and LinkedIn. And you can also find us on our YouTube channel, Instagram, and of course, wherever you listen to your podcast. Okay, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day. And we look forward to having you join us on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.